all your time to it. But you have to always remember, what do I gain from the investment of time I am giving to this or that? Because time is one of the most perishable commodities God has given to us. When it passes, you can't recover it. It's gone. If you spend 30 minutes watching television, you cannot get the same 30 minutes to do something else. So you have to be strategic. Pleasure may not be your priority now. Entertainment may not be your priority now. Relaxation, recreation may not be your priority now. Your priority now may be to pass that exam. And if that is your priority, strategically allocate your time to pass that exam and pass it well. So use time and resources strategically. Other resources in your life may be your money. What do you invest your time with? What priorities? You can always tell what people consider important by how they spend their money. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Look at your spending pattern. It tells you what is important. For some people, physical appearance is more important to them, so they spend the majority of their money on physical appearance. Some people, mental development is more important, so they spend their money on mental development. Some people, building a business is more important, so they invest in business. So what is important to you? Food? All right. In order to set priorities, you must break down your vision into clear steps. Break down your vision into clear steps. It's always good to have a big vision, but sometimes a big vision can be your biggest problem. When you have a big vision and you don't know how to achieve the big vision, you will live in a fantasy world. There are people who are always talking big but never doing anything, because they have a big vision, but that vision is not being broken down into clear steps. When you break your vision down, for example, you want to set up a big company, you have to break down all the activities and take the one closest to you. And the one closest to you maybe is to get a name for your company. It doesn't cost money. It doesn't take capital. Maybe to go and register your business. Maybe to take time and write down your business ideas. These are steps you take, and they don't cost money. Now, if you sit down and your business is to set up, your vision is to set up a big business, and you now allow capital or lack of money to become a hindrance to you, you may never take any step towards your vision. So break it down. If you break it down, it's easy to solve. That is what mathematicians do. They break down a problem. And when they break it down, the solution emerges at the bottom. If you can break it down, you have the answer to what you're looking for. Every huge vision has got small components. So look for those small components and break them down. And every step you take in your order of priority must build momentum as you go along. Momentum means that if you take one step, it should urge you to take the next step. You don't take a step that brings you to a dead end. You take a step that helps you to a next achievable step. Each step must build momentum. It must help you to build. Yes, you set up, you write your company name. The next thing is you go and see a few people who are doing the kinds of things you're doing. That is achievable. You're building momentum. The next thing is you have some ideas, you have some paperwork there. The next thing is that you're going to register. Next thing you're going to do that. Next thing you're going to do that. So every step leads you to another step. Every step must lead to another step. Sometimes we take big steps, and after we've taken them, we come to a dead end because the second step was not available. It was not properly thought through. And when you do that, you lose momentum. And if there's anything you need in life, it is called momentum. Don't forget momentum. What is momentum? Have you tried pushing a car which is stuck before? In Ghana, it happens all the time. When a car is stuck and you are pushing it, and you put your hand behind the car and start pushing, it's so difficult to move it the first time. But after you move it, it starts moving slower, easier and easier. And now the tires themselves are in motion. It's called momentum. They build momentum. And after some time, you start running and pushing at the same time. It's like when you are opening a very tight screw. The first effort to move makes the rest easier. And you move and move. That's momentum. So every step you take, most of the time, the first one is the hardest one. And then you have to allow it to build momentum so that your movement becomes faster, easier, and achievable. And that's what priorities will do to you. They help you to build momentum. Number 9, the 9th signpost to success is flexible plan. Flexible plan. It's good to plan, but plans can also become a limitation, especially when we are not flexible with our plans. We decide one thing we want to do, and even when it is not possible to do it the way we want to do it, because it was our plan, we still want to do it the same way. You have to have a flexible plan, especially in this time in the world when global changes are so fast and quick. You can't just have an idea 10 years ago that will work today. So your plans must be flexible. New laws come into force, new protocols come into force, global environment changes. You may be in an export business, and all of a sudden budget is read, it changes the laws, parliament passes a law, and all these factors change the factors that made you decide the first time what you have to do. So your plan must be flexible. It's good to be determined, but be flexible. Part of your mind should be set, another part should be open. Most of the time when I'm doing something, I have my main objective about what I want to do, but I have about 2 other alternatives I'm thinking through. So that if it doesn't work this way, I can consider the other alternatives. You must have a plan B and a plan C, always at the back of your mind. You don't implement A, B, C at the same time. You implement A. But if you hit a roadblock, B must come into shape, or must come into practice. So you must have a flexible plan. Acts chapter 16 verses 7 to 9. This is the Apostle Paul, who determined to go to a certain place to preach the gospel. And every time he determined, he found roadblocks. And listen to how the Bible records it. It says after they had gone to Mysia, they tried to go to Bithynia, but the Spirit did not permit them. So passing by Mysia, they came down to Troas, and a vision appeared to Paul in the night. A man of Macedonia stood and pleaded with him, saying, "Come over to Macedonia and help us." Here you see a man who wants to do something. He has his plan, but then there are frustrations. He tries to go and there are hindrances, and then he has a call to go to a place he had not planned to go, and he obeys it. It's called flexible planning. He's determined, but he's also open to alternatives. If you're successful, you have to have that kind of thinking. Be determined, but be open to alternatives. Alternative plans. Not alternative in your principles, but alternative in your plans, the actions you want to take. Some of us, we hit, it's like a small toy car which is programmed to go forward. It goes forward. When it hits a wall, because it has been programmed to go forward, it hits the wall, it comes back and hits the wall, and comes back and hits the wall, and comes back and hits the wall, and comes back and hits the wall, because there's no programming in it to say every moment they are changing their minds. Be determined, but be still open, so that when you hit a roadblock for several times and you're not making the progress you want to make, you can consider alternatives. Alternatives that will lead you to the same place you're trying to get to. Not alternatives that will lead you totally far away from your real vision. So change is important. The only thing that is certain in life is change. Because change is the only change that never changes. There will always be change, especially if you live in the 21st century. There will be change. The global community is very, very fast. And listen to me, Ghanaian businessmen. You can't think local. Even if your business is local, you must think global, because global factors impact on your local business. You may be doing something here, and then all of a sudden the Chinese are producing it, and they dump your country with your product and knock you out of business. You have to be adaptable. Don't say, well, this is what my father gave me, this is how it was, this is how we used to do it, and do it all the time. No, the Chinese have come in, they've changed the equation. You can't kill them. There are over 1 billion of them. They won't die. They're going to be alive. What are you going to do with them? How are you going to survive with the Chinese competition? What are you going to do with the Indian competition? So change is important, and you have to adapt, and you have to be open. And how do you do that? Accept the inevitability of change. Accept that change is inevitable. When we say something is inevitable, it means it's there. It's always going to happen. Change is inevitable. Even in the church, change takes place. Some time ago, people only attended church, the church they were born into, and they died in that church. And if you remember, most churches had a cemetery right by. It indicated the philosophy of the church. You are born here, you will die here. And so when people were born, they said, this is my mother church. They stayed in that church until they died, and they were decently buried close by the church. These days, an average person will attend about 8 different churches in a lifetime. Some of you, this is about your 6th. You have 2 more to go. So I cannot pretend that the members I have in my church are going to be there all the time. I know that you will not be here all the time. So I can't have the mentality of a settler pastor in the past who thought his congregation will always be there. Even your children, you can't predict the church they will attend. Change. People used to attend the church closest to them. These times, because of cars and highways, people are able to drive distances to go to church. That's why you don't need to ring the church bell again, because the people are staying about 20 miles away from the church bell. Oh yeah, where I live, if we had a bell here and you rang it, there was no way I would hear it, because I live several miles away from this church. So change has rendered certain church cultures obsolete and impractical. And if you insist on doing it the old way, you will insist on digging your own grave. If change is happening in the church, then you business people are in big trouble. Yes. Some time ago, if you were a seamstress or you were a tailor, you had a lot of goods. People came to you. This time, second-hand clothes and cheap imports. are knocking all of you tailors out of business. You got to change. Don't change tailoring, but you have to change how you do it. If you want more information, consultancy. All right. Okay. Number 2. Don't complain when the game changes. Don't complain when the game changes. And that's one of the big problems we have in this country. People complain, it used to be like that, it's no longer like that, and we used to do it like that, it's no longer. In 1966, I said, why? I mean, aren't we moving forward? One of the things that I can understand is when people say, we want to develop Ghana to recover its past glory. I don't want the past glory of Ghana. I want the future glory, not the past. Why can't we think in the future for a change? In Kwame Nkrumah's days, thank God for Kwame Nkrumah. I can't resurrect him, you can't resurrect him. He's dead and gone to his grave. Gone to his grave. We are alive and kicking. Don't complain when the game changes. Don't complain when the nations of the world change the games, or the WTO changes the game. We have to study the new game plan and work with the new game plan and find the loopholes in the new game plan and win with the new game plan. Can't always be complaining. Things are not the way as some time ago, the way people come to church and they stay in one church forever. These days people come to a church and they are going, and so what? They are going, so you have to adapt. Respond thoughtfully to new situations, and the operative word there is thoughtfully. Don't just respond because change, things are changing, so change. Think it through. Look at the implications. Look at your strength. Look at what you can do. Look at how you can reposition yourself. Respond thoughtfully to new situations. Number 4, make use of new information and technologies. All of you who are not computer literate, you are behind time. I thought I would say out here, amen. All of you who are not computer literate, you are behind time. You are fossilized. You have no clue what's going on now. If you are not computer literate and you are above 60, I don't blame you. But if you are not computer literate and you are below 60, you are in big trouble. Even above 60, you can try to catch up, but if you've done a lot and you've built your lifestyle and your habits already. But some of you are in your 30s, in your 40s. You see a computer, you think it's a monster that will arrest you. You can't type. You have to write everything longhand. Hey, times have changed. These days, everybody must type. Everybody, Makola woman must type. Oh yes. Go to other countries. Go to India. Farmers are using computers. Illiterate farmers, tomato sellers are selling with computers. And we are still putting the tomatoes on the floor. Listen to me. Life is not kind. And life has no favorites. If you don't learn to play the game properly, you are gone. Whether you are a hairdresser, you are a seamstress, be computer literate. You are a carpenter, carpentry with your computer. You don't do measurements and build chairs that are flying in different directions. Program your things well. Design them. Keep your blueprint well so you can always recall them from your computer. Learn how to design with AutoCAD so you can keep your designs and work on them. Every message I preach is in my computer. Every message. So I can always go back and work on them and add and subtract and refine. Every message I preach, I put it in PowerPoint. So I can always go and add this and take it out and improve it. The thing is, when I take an old message and I improve it and I preach it, you don't even see. So, yeah, I'm the only one who knows that this is the old, recycled, represented, rechristened.